When the tech bros all got together for Trump's inauguration, there was one noticeable absence: Bill Gates. And Gates mocked them back in February when the tech bros all showed up to stand behind what is arguably not just the worst president this nation has ever had, but possibly one of the worst people who ever got out of bed. And he didn't mince words then or now.
Well, there's no club of these people. We're, kind of individual. And, I'm very focused on global health and, hope the transition to this administration doesn't interrupt some incredible work that's been going on.
Well, they had some VIP seating at the inauguration, and we did notice you weren't there. What do you make of that visual?
They clearly wanted to fund the inauguration. They wanted it to be a great inauguration, just for the good of the country, no doubt.
But Gates was being kinder than Musk deserved. Even here, as Musk destroyed the work of USAID, Gates tried to make sense out of it.
Well, I admire the great private sector stuff he's done. SpaceX, Tesla, both amazing companies. I think in the case of USAID, he doesn't appreciate the phenomenal work that goes on. It's not partisan work. It's nutrition. It's avoiding...
He says it's beyond repair.
Well, I give billions of dollars to the same thing that USAID does. I go out in the field and study these things. I hire scientists. And so, I think if he really knew the work there, he wouldn't be telling 10,000 people not to come and do that work.
Yeah.
But this billionaire bitch fest got heated today as Gates went nuclear on Musk. Understandably so. Gates told the New York Times, "The picture of the world's richest man killing the world's poorest children is not a pretty one. I'd love for Musk to go in and meet the children that have been infected with HIV because he cut American aid that had been going to a hospital in Mozambique." Wow, that's pretty brutal and 100% accurate. But Gates tried a softer approach first, trying to sway Musk with a common sense of head, and began his cuts because it makes him feel powerful. He and Bezos and Zuckerberg make billions each year, but they're clueless as to the world around them and the dangers that their platforms present. All right, maybe not Amazon, but shouldn't one of the largest, most profitable companies in the history of the world pay some taxes?
Amazon is a huge company, but do you know just how huge it really is?
We start with amazing Amazon. Somewhere CEO Jeff Bezos is smiling.
It's one of only 2 U.S. companies to ever reach $1 trillion valuation.
No one in history has become as rich as quickly.
It's made Jeff Bezos the richest man in the world.
That is 100 million Prime subscribers globally.
And if you put those Prime subscribers in one country, it would be the 14th largest on the planet.
Now, when I call this a bitch fest, I don't include Bill Gates. Why? Well, because while Bezos, Zuckerberg, and Musk huddled around Trump like piglets sucking up to the teats of their mama sow,
get that fat pig off the couch,
which to them I guess he is, while the tech eunuchs with their billions were supporting cutting aid to Americans and poor around the world, what was Gates doing? Donating $200 billion of his own money to attempt to give aid where Musk and Trump had destroyed it.
To you, what is the importance of USAID and the U.S. giving aid to people in need around the world?
Well, the USAID plays a super important role in dispensing our aid budget, which is less than 1% of the government budget. Usually it's pretty obscure, so maybe this is a chance to talk about, okay, is some of that work we'd like to change, but overall, it's work that saves millions of lives and, helps strengthen relationships for the United States.
If it's just moved into the State Department, does that matter?
No, the exact organization can change. It was kept separate, so the idea of helping the poorest, you'd have, a real priority for that in mind. And I'm not, against some degree of tuning, but, having all those people not come into work and characterizing the whole thing in a negative way, I'm a little disappointed in that.
Look, Gates isn't the second coming. I'm not saying he's Jesus or Muhammad or Buddha. He's simply just a rich guy without a personality disorder. I mean, compare the billionaire girls with Bill Gates. There's no comparison. Let's start with Elon.
Elon? Nah, he's got himself a mess. He said the other day, I've never voted for a Republican. I said, I didn't know that. He told me he voted for me. So he's another bullshit artist.
Yeah, Trump knew it before, but that was before Musk gave him $250 million to buy the office of president, and before Musk threatened other Republicans who didn't kneel before Elon and the fat one that they'd be primaried if they didn't suck up. But that was just the start. Musk, like Zuckerberg and Bezos, and to a lesser extent Tim Cook, have psychological issues that cleared the way for them to fire hardworking Americans and attack vitally important infrastructure needed to assist Americans in everything from vaccines to food safety to national intelligence. Well, how much time you got? But Musk's attack on USAID had other dimensions to it. And by cutting off foreign aid, thousands of farmers will be put in immediate jeopardy because their crops were part of the U.S. commitment to impoverished nations.
For more than 70 years, the U.S. government has purchased surplus grains from American farmers and sent them overseas to feed hungry communities from Africa and Asia to South America and Ukraine. The program is called Food for Peace. And in 2022, it provided 4 billion pounds of food to 58 million people. But tonight, all that is in jeopardy after the Trump administration's decision to freeze funding for USAID. Hundreds of millions of dollars and millions of tons of wheat, lentils, and rice are stuck in ports and warehouses across America and around the globe. We're joined now by Kansas farmers Vance and Louise Emke. Their farm produces grain that ultimately makes it overseas. Thank you both so much for your time. Vance, let's start with you. Your wheat farm has been in the family since the 1880s. How does it make you feel to know your grain has gone to help people who so desperately needed it overseas?
Well, we do have a humanitarian and moral obligation to help, get food to these food deficient areas. It's also really good for developing goodwill with the United States.
Who did you vote for president?
Mr. Trump.
Right?
Trump. Mr. Trump.
If the election were today, Frank, would you vote for Donald Trump?
No way. Couldn't happen. No.
And to Bill Gates' point, when places, say like Yemen, have a drought, it creates an opportunity for groups like the Houthis to step in, much as the Taliban did in Afghanistan, and to take over. That's a real thing. And USAID also included assistance in stopping the spread of everything from HIV to TB, and Gates can see this. Musk, on the other hand, seems like man-titties, utterly incapable of empathy. Here's his first wife with an insight into Elon.
I mean, it was a crazy sort of upwards trajectory from nothing to everything. It felt like being on a rocket. We were being invited places, and I remember we were at a party, and then actually at that dinner, I think I sat next to Bill Clinton, and Elon said, the great thing about being famous is that when you sit next to somebody you don't know at a dinner party, they think the bad conversation is their fault.
He's incapable of seeing it, of understanding the pain and sadness that poverty, housing, and hunger carry with them. And we're talking millions of children at risk. But we're also talking about removing the U.S. as a nation who has the resources to make a difference, turning their backs now on poverty, disease, war, and families so these pencil dicks like Zuckerberg and Bezos can have $100 million weddings. Bill Gates isn't perfect, but whatever he might have done or didn't do in the past, he's trying to do now. He didn't kiss Diaper Donnie's ass at the inauguration, and he has now decided that he will give more than $200 billion to curb world hunger and disease. And maybe that's not as sexy as algorithms and bots and the new AI world, but Gates has earned the right and the opportunity to call out these tech bras for what they are, part of the sociopathic rich who care more about money than they do about people. To steal a term Gates coined 40 years ago, when it comes to Musk, Bezos, Zuckerberg, and Trump, it's time to control, alt, delete.
Goddamn right.
Whether the women like it or not.
Drop your pants.
Tara!
You're an idiot!
I don't want to talk about this stuff.
Am I wrong?
Yes!
Tick-tock!
You're in a lot of trouble, Donnie.
I think he's crazy.
I'm Chip Franklin.